Hello everybody, this is Simerjeet Singh and this video is about excelling at virtual interviews, whether you're a young student appearing in front of the board of your university or prospective college, or you are somebody who's just graduated and you're looking for a job and you're appearing for virtual interviews. The virtual world works a bit differently, and this is what I'd like to cover. I was recently helping someone that I know personally in preparing for his virtual interview, and I thought it might be a good idea to create a video on the same topic so that you all can benefit. We've all been struggling with technology as far as virtual interviews go. It's not the same thing. The interviewer cannot see the full range of your body language, your facial expressions. You're not there physically. There's so many technical challenges. We had this video going viral earlier about someone who switched his cat filter on Zoom.
I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to
can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that.
And so what I want to share with you in this video are interview tips with a specific focus on virtual interviews. We did create a video earlier which was general tips for interviews in person. That was part of the Coach on Campus series. So we will share the link with you in the top right hand corner. If that is something that you're interested in, and that video takes you more in depth about preparing for an interview in general. But this particular video is to help you excel at virtual interviews, because the virtual world works very differently, right? As I already shared with you, people struggle with technology. There's so many issues. A couple of things that I want you to keep in mind and be prepared for on your big day in advance for your virtual interview. Number one, check the lighting of the place that you're in, right? Make sure that the source of lighting is not behind you, but rather in front of you, so that you, the subject, is lit properly, and that you are lit properly so that the light is falling on your face and is not behind you. That's one very important factor, the lighting. Number two, the acoustics. Select a room with a lot of upholstery, a lot of sofas or a carpet or something where the sound will be absorbed and the sound will not echo that much. Pick a room with a lot of furniture in it, and that would be better, away from the noise of the traffic. Invest in a lapel mic or borrow one if you can, and that will really help improve the quality of your sound. But test any new equipment that you introduce. Make sure that you are testing the equipment, that you're not leaving it for the last minute. You can use natural daylight. You can sit facing a window so that the daylight is on you, and that will improve the quality. But also make sure that you're not overexposed as far as the lighting is concerned. So these are certain technical aspects of a virtual interview that I'd like you to keep in mind. Do a speed test on your internet connection before the big day. And it's important that you check your uploading speed of your connection. Okay, sometimes you'll have a pretty impressive download speed, but you'll have a poor upload speed on the connection that you're using. And since in a video conferencing like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, etc., it's important that you are getting proper upload bandwidth, because that's what you need when you're sending out your video out to the world or to the internet, right? So make sure that your upload speed is decent. That's another thing that comes to my mind. Power backup in case you need, and also select a background that is not very distracting, ideally a plain wall, and make sure that you are wearing dark colored clothing. That will really help you stand out in the virtual interview setup. Also, please keep in mind that the interviewer has probably been doing these virtual interviews all day long and is by now tired and is experiencing what we call Zoom fatigue. So make sure that whatever you're doing is making things easier for your interviewer and not difficult, right? So for this, I cannot overemphasize the fact that actual rehearsals will be very, very important. Set up a Zoom meeting link or a Microsoft Team meeting link with one of your friends and do these demo practice sessions as much as possible. So virtually, it's a very different setup, right? Some of the things that you take for granted in an in-person interview, they will be missing. So you probably will not have the chance to recover from a lot of mistakes, or if your uploading speed is not good, if your sound is not good, so on and so forth. So make sure that you are getting all these tools in order for your big day of the virtual interview. Now let's talk about some specifics about what you can do to master your virtual interview. I would suggest, first of all, create a list of probable questions. Think of all the questions that the interviewer can come up with, the usual ones and sort of the unusual ones that will be applicable in your case. The usual ones tend to be more like, tell us about yourself, where do you see yourself in 10 years time, what are your strengths and weaknesses, who do you look up to, who are your role models, right? And these sort of questions are really important. Are you a leader or a follower? These are conversation starters. Keep in mind that with some of these open-ended questions, there are no right or wrong answers. They are open-ended questions because the interviewer wants you to talk and he wants you to share what you have on your mind so that they can arrive at the decision whether you are a right fit for their institute or for their company or not. So think of, based on your CV, based on who you are, think of the list of probable questions that an interviewer can ask you. And the next thing that I want to emphasize is, and a lot of students in India tend to do this, they tend to memorize the answers. Please don't do it. You will sound like a cassette recorder that is playing or a pre-recorded voiceover that's been done, and it will not come across as natural. Do not memorize your answers, please. I want you to prepare a list of the probable questions, but I do not want you to memorize them, because when you've memorized something, you're so obsessed with the sequence and the sort of words and this point, and this should come in the first and that should come later on. You're so obsessed with everything that you are not in the moment. And when you're not in the moment, you're not comfortable. When you're not comfortable, you cannot sense what's going on. You cannot understand the actual intent of the interviewer. You cannot understand any humor that might be there. You cannot be spontaneous, and it sounds artificial, it sounds robotic, and that is not how you want to sound. So although it's really important to prepare a list of the probable questions that the interviewer can ask you, but at the same time it's even more important to not memorize any of the answers, which happens to be a shortcut that many students in the Indian subcontinent take, is memorize their answers. You don't want to do that. And then of course you might be thinking, so what should I be doing instead? Instead of memorizing, create a mind map. So what I mean by a mind map is take a little card like something like this, right? I use cards like this, and just so let's say, for example, the question is, tell us about yourself. So I could write avid cricket player, right? Traveled across the world, leadership ability. I like to lead, initiate projects. I'm writing the keywords down. I'm creating a mind map that I can use to recap my answers whenever I want to. I am not memorizing the exact sequence of words or exact sentences. What I am doing is I'm creating a set of bullet points or a set of ideas, and I'm also creating the sort of the flow that I'd like that answer to go in, so that I'm not stuck anywhere, so that I'm not short of words, so that I can keep the conversation growing, right? Look up mind mapping, very powerful exercise, but I don't want you to spend your next few days doing mind mapping only. Even if you just get a blank piece of paper, put your center question in the middle, right? Circle it and think of the 5 or 6 or 7 things you could talk about. Let's say if the conversation is about you, could you talk about your hobbies? Could you talk about your strengths? Could you talk about a project you did at school? Could you talk about an entrepreneurial venture that you launched? Could you talk about your dreams? Could you talk about your values? And have those 5 or 6, 7 things. This is extra ammunition. You might not end up using all of it, but you won't also get stuck in any situation. So this is my alternative to memorization. My alternative to memorization is use mind mapping. And with mind mapping, you are not memorizing exact sentences. You are capturing the essence of an idea, you're writing it down on paper, and you're recapping it often before that interview, so that you know when this question comes up, these are the areas that I'd like to talk about. It's more like keywords to keep your conversation on track. The next thing that will help you appear, and not only appear, but be more confident and spontaneous and at ease, is going to be visualization. So for every question that you prepared a mind map, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take a deep breath in, and I want you to visualize that you're sitting in front of the camera, you are appearing, you are answering questions that the interviewer is asking you, and I want you to see yourself from a distance. This is the visualization that I would want you to use. I want you to see yourself from a distance. I want you to see yourself smiling, confident, happy, in the moment. All the answers are coming to you. It's all flowing effortlessly. And I want you to visualize that. I want you to see yourself from a distance, and I want you to capture that little movie in your mind. This is an NLP technique, and I want you to replay that movie over and over again, right? So visualization of, go see the exact place where you would be sitting down, and then capture that image in your mind, and then take a deep breath in, inhale. And then visualize that you're sitting in front of the camera, your light is on, everything is functioning properly, you're smiling, you're at ease, you're confident, and the interview is going effortlessly, and you're doing a wonderful job. And then save that mental movie into your mind and replay it over and over again. And this is what I mean by rehearsal. Does not mean you stand in front of a mirror and answer, but here, this is what I would like you to do is team up with a friend or a friendly parent, or somebody else that could help you with this. Set up a Microsoft Team meeting, set up a Zoom meeting, give them the set of 15-20 questions, get them to ask you those questions, and you answer them in the same place using the same equipment that you would be using on the interview day, so that you are absolutely comfortable with the equipment and the questions and the virtual setup. Okay? I hope this point is clear enough. So these two are my most powerful tools, so that you don't have to memorize. Number one, mind map the answers, write the key points down. Number two, visualize and then see yourself answering those questions. And then mental rehearsals. Close your eyes for a second, give yourselves 3 minutes for that question. Tell us about yourself and answer that question in your head without even uttering a single word. You are answering that question in your head, and this is going to create a powerful neural pathway, so that you're not caught off guard during the interview at all, right? Understand, please take this pressure off your mind, and that's the next thing I want to talk about. Take this pressure off your mind. What's the right answer? What should be the right answer to who's my role model? Should it be my dad? Does it have to be my dad? I had a youngster recently who told me, I don't have a role model. I admire a lot of people, I look up to a lot of people, but I don't have a role model. So I told him, this is what you need to tell the interviewer, that I don't have a specific role model, but I admire these people in business, I admire these people in sports, I admire these people in politics, and this is what I've learned from them, right? So the interviewer it's not like a question that, oh, the interviewer had this in mind, that if your role model is not Martin Luther King Jr., then perhaps you're not the right fit for our company. If your role model is not Elon Musk, perhaps you won't be innovative enough. That's not what he's trying to check. He's trying to keep the conversation going. He wants to know what influences you, what has inspired you, what sort of values do you look up, because that's a reflection of who you are, right? So there are no right or wrong answers. A lot of time youngsters get caught up with, oh, what should I say when I'm asked about my weaknesses? Should I always call it my area of improvement? Should I always be diplomatic about it? Should I be blunt and straightforward about it? And I would say, you don't have to go with a preconceived strategy of this is what I should be doing. Be honest, be authentic, and it's okay to be vulnerable, but it's also important to keep the conversation on track. So, but without the pressure of trying to figure out in your head what should be the right answer here. There are no right or wrong answers. Speak from experience, be authentic, and that's the way that you can know whether you're a right fit for that company or that college, and whether they are a right fit for you. And this is the best way to find out. So there are no right or wrong answers. Take the pressure off your mind. And by the way, the youngster that I was speaking to the other day who did not have a role model, I told him keep the conversation going. So this is a strategy we used. In business, these are the people I admire. In sports, these are the people I admire. And this is what I've learned from them. Be prepared for follow-up questions by the interviewer. If you say, hey, it's Elon Musk that I look up to, of course, the next question is going to be, what do you admire the most in Elon Musk? What has he done in his life that inspires you the most? And what have you learned? Or have you read this book or his biography? There's going to be a follow-up question. So make sure that you're being authentic and take this pressure off your mind about finding the right answer, because there are no right or wrong answers, especially when it comes to open-ended questions. Yes, with technical questions, it's an entirely different ballgame, but that is not what we're discussing in this video. We are discussing these open-ended questions, conversation starters, wherein the interviewer is trying to find out what sort of a person are you. And this is very important as we close this short, brief video. Keep your answers crisp and to the point, please, right? Understand the intent of the interviewer. What is he trying to find out? What could be the intention behind this question? And how soon can I come to the point so that he or she knows, it gets the answer that they are looking for, right? Keep your answers crisp and simple and avoid any long stories. Come to the point quickly as soon as you can. And whenever you're feeling stressed, it's okay to take a deep breath in. My favorite strategy to keep yourself balanced and centered. Take a deep breath in, inhale. Hold your breath for a couple of seconds and exhale gently. Okay, now don't start doing this in your actual virtual interview, but you could do this before, or you could do it in a very subtle way during the interview as well. All I'm asking you to do is inhale deeply, hold your breath for a couple of seconds, and just when you're exhaling, that's when you should be speaking. That's when your voice comes out very deep and powerful as well. But keep breathing. When we panic, when we are stressed, when we are nervous, the first thing that we do is we stop breathing, and that's not a very good strategy, right? Your brain needs the oxygen to function. I hope you have a wonderful virtual interview, and I hope this short video was helpful for you guys. Everybody take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.